Do you want to know what it's like to be fired for doing your job too well? No, seriously. Not fired for being lazy, not for being incompetent. Fired because your competence made people uncomfortable. Because you couldn't just smile and nod when the boss made a decision so dumb it could bankrupt a lemonade stand. That's me. Hi, I'm Marcus Tran, and this is the story of how being good at my job became a corporate crime. But don't worry, this isn't just a tragic tale of office politics. This is a comedy, a roast, an HR nightmare wrapped in PowerPoint slides and espresso shots. Marcus Tran, a 34-year-old project manager at a mid-sized media company in Austin, Texas, loved his job. Too much, maybe. He optimized workflows, reduced delivery times by 40%, and helped land a Fortune 500 client with a proposal he wrote in one night. His team loved him. His results were undeniable. Then came her, Jessica Raymond, the new director of digital strategy. Armed with buzzwords, an MBA from a college no one's heard of, and the confidence of someone who once watched a TED Talk about leadership, Jessica immediately decided Marcus was a problem. Not because he did anything wrong, but because he made her look unnecessary. When you have a manager who fixes everything before you even arrive, what exactly are you directing? In one memorable meeting, Marcus politely questioned the new workflow she designed. Jessica, we want to reduce complexity, so we're introducing a 6-layer approval matrix. Marcus, but doesn't that increase complexity? By, 6 layers. Laughter, silence, tension. HR took notes. Marcus's story may feel personal, but it reflects a much bigger issue. Across industries, talented people are often pushed aside to protect fragile egos or chase short-term savings. Let's examine some real-world examples. Cases where companies made catastrophic decisions to cut costs, silence innovation, or elevate incompetence. These aren't urban legends. These are facepalms so colossal they should be taught in business schools under the course title, What Not to Do. 1. Twitter post-acquisition purge. After Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter in late 2022, the company laid off over 70% of its workforce, including entire departments responsible for trust and safety, content moderation, and even core infrastructure. Musk assumed the company could run more efficiently with a skeleton crew. What followed was a cascade of technical failures. Outages, bugs, disappearing tweets, and spam bots flooding user feeds. Advertisers fled in droves, citing brand safety concerns. Within months, Twitter's valuation reportedly dropped by over $20 billion. The lesson? Firing experts in the name of efficiency can gut the very foundation your platform rests on. 2. Boeing cost-cutting at the cost of lives. In the early 2010s, Boeing underwent a leadership transformation, shifting focus from engineering excellence to shareholder value. Senior engineers raised red flags about the rushed development of the 737 MAX and the implementation of the MCOS software system without adequate training for pilots. They were ignored. 2 tragic crashes later, Lion Air Flight 610 and Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302, 346 people were dead, and Boeing's reputation was shattered. Investigations revealed a culture of silence and cost-cutting. Boeing lost billions and, more importantly, the trust of the global aviation community. 3. General Electric from icon to implosion. For decades, GE was the gold standard of American industrial success. But under the leadership of Jeffrey Immelt, the company became obsessed with short-term gains and financial engineering. Brilliant executives and engineers who questioned the aggressive financial targets were shown the door. What followed was a slow unraveling. Mismanaged acquisitions, spiraling debt, and an epic collapse of stock value. GE was eventually kicked out of the Dow Jones Industrial Average in 2018. A cautionary tale in prioritizing optics over substance. 4. Wells Fargo when pressure becomes poison. In an attempt to meet aggressive sales targets, Wells Fargo managers pressured employees to open unauthorized accounts. Whistleblowers were ignored or punished. Those who tried to raise ethical concerns were marginalized. When the scandal broke in 2016, It resulted in over $3 billion in fines, the resignation of top executives, and a permanent stain on the brand. Incompetence? No. Deliberate malpractice enabled by silencing dissent. Marcus didn't plot revenge. He didn't have to. The universe has a peculiar sense of humor and a ruthless talent for irony. After leaving Jessica's corporate carnival of chaos, Marcus took a week to breathe. Then, in true overachiever fashion, he built a portfolio website, published a case study about a digital transformation project sabotaged by leadership indecision, no names, of course, and launched a blog titled Surviving Your Manager. Within weeks, his posts gained traction on LinkedIn. The favorite quote? "Nothing disrupts innovation like a middle manager trying to prove they're necessary." People loved it. Thousands reshared. Some even whispered, "This sounds like my office." Meanwhile, back at the company, let's call it Vision Spark, though Delusion Spark might have been more appropriate. The cracks began to show. Jessica's pet project, the new Agile initiative, was a flaming mess. Deadlines weren't just missed, they were forgotten. One campaign launched with lorem ipsum in the body text. A video ad mistakenly went live without sound. Their biggest client, the Fortune 500 company Marcus had brought in, canceled their contract with a single-line email. "We no longer feel confident in your delivery capacity." Ouch! Jessica called an emergency town hall. Her voice, once TED Talk confident, now trembled under the fluorescent lights. "We've faced challenges," she said, "but this is a time for growth, for resilience." No one clapped. By the time Q2 rolled around, Jessica was gone. Rumor had it she was pursuing opportunities in the coaching space, which is LinkedIn speak for, "We let her go but let her save face." Her replacements, the influencer with content vibes, listed as a skill, had moved on to selling supplements on TikTok. The guy who didn't believe in deadlines missed one too many and was quietly dismissed after forwarding a meme to a major client. And Marcus? Oh, Marcus was thriving. He'd accepted a VP position at a rival firm. Let's call them Bright Forge. There, he built a team based on competence, trust, and zero tolerance for nonsense. Within 5 months, he brought in 3 major accounts. One of them, the Fortune 500 client who jumped ship from Vision Spark. The re-onboarding call was short and satisfying. Client rep: "We're thrilled to be working with you again." Marcus: "Likewise, let's build something," without 6 approval layers. Chuckles all around. But the cherry on top? Marcus didn't gloat, not publicly. Instead, he focused on helping other talented professionals avoid the same fate. His blog turned into a podcast, then a book deal. How to Get Fired for Being Great became a surprise bestseller in the business section. One day, he received an anonymous message. "I was on Jessica's team. You were right. We needed you more than we knew. Thank you for showing how to survive with grace and thrive with vengeance." Marcus smiled. Revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a quiet promotion, a calm laugh, a phone call that says, "We want you back." And you get to say, "No, thanks. I've moved on." Because the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's elevation. And Marcus? He was already flying. There comes a point in every professional's life when they realize the game isn't always about talent, hard work, or even results. It's about navigating egos, dodging political landmines, and learning how to shine without setting off alarms. Marcus Tran learned this the hard way, but what he did with the lesson is what made the difference. After everything, being pushed out, watching dysfunction implode from afar, and landing somewhere better, Marcus started reflecting not just on what had happened, but why it keeps happening. To him, to people like him, to people who care too much, too soon, in places that don't deserve it. He summarized his takeaways into what he called the 5 rules of surviving greatness. Here they are. Competence without politics is a trap. Being excellent is admirable. But being excellent without managing the political environment around you, dangerous. Marcus had focused on results, assuming they'd speak for themselves. What he didn't see coming was how results can feel threatening, to the insecure, to the mediocre, to those whose authority comes from proximity rather than proficiency. If you don't manage the optics of your competence, others will distort it for you. And they'll weaponize it. Don't stay where you're tolerated. There's a difference between being needed and being respected. Marcus was needed until Jessica decided he wasn't. Respect, however, was always conditional. The day you realize your value is seen as a temporary convenience, not a long-term investment, is the day you need to start planning your exit. Toleration is quiet toxicity, and it always turns into resentment. Toleration is quiet toxicity, and it always turns into resentment. Silence is not loyalty. Marcus used to stay quiet in meetings to avoid confrontation, to be the team player. But silence in the face of dysfunction doesn't protect you, it brands you as complicit. Speaking up cost him, but not speaking up would have cost him even more in the long run. His integrity, his mental health, his joy. There is a price for speaking truth, but there's a bigger price for choking on it. Burnout is often betrayal in disguise. We often say we're burned out because of workload, but Marcus came to understand that what really drained him wasn't the work. It was working under people who didn't get the work, who minimized it, micromanaged it, or dismissed it altogether. It wasn't exhaustion. It was betrayal of values. And betrayal hurts far longer than long hours. Let success speak louder than bitterness. Marcus could have gone on a warpath. He had the evidence, the emails, the performance reports. But instead, he chose the longer, harder, and ultimately more powerful route. He built something better. His new team loved him. Clients respected him. His name became associated not with petty drama, but with principled resilience. That's the thing about burning bridges. You only need them if you're planning to go back. Marcus's story isn't just his. It's a mirror to thousands of professionals stuck in companies that reward silence over innovation, politics over performance. One HR director emailed Marcus privately. I showed your blog to our VP. We changed our performance review structure. Thank you. A mid-level manager wrote, I used to be Jessica. I didn't realize it until your podcast. I'm fixing it now. Even a college professor reached out. We added your case study to our organizational behavior curriculum. What started as a personal failure had become a professional movement. Because sometimes the best way to teach a system is to escape it and succeed loudly. To those who've ever been overlooked, underappreciated, or pushed out not for failing but for succeeding too much, remember this. You're not broken. You're not too much. You're not hard to manage. You're just in the wrong environment. Find the one that celebrates you, not the one that fears you. And when you do, show up, do the work, lead with integrity, then share your story, because someone else is still stuck in silence, waiting for proof that escape is possible. Marcus was that proof. And now maybe so are you. Thanks for joining me in this 6-part journey. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone who needs to know that being excellent isn't a flaw, it's a future.